Okay, this is some more of section 5.5 homework. I see up there. Okay. Section 5.5 homework, and this is number 57 of these trig equations. And we already have this in factored form, so we know that you just set each factor equal to 0, the cotangent of x equals 0, or the tangent of x minus 1 equals 0, which tells me the tangent of x can equal 1. Okay, so when is the cotangent equal to 0? The cotangent of x equals 0. Well, cotangent graph's a little bit different from the tangent graph because it's kind of shifted over. So I just refer to the good old unit circle over here. So these are the coordinates, right? This is 1, 0, negative 1, 0. This is 0, 1. 0, negative 1. That's a quick way to do it. And remember, the first coordinate is the cosine, the second coordinate is the sine, and we want a value of 0. That means it's going to be 0 over something. So not that. Those are undefined. This is 0 over 1, 0 over negative 1. So those are points where that's 0 over something. And this is going to be pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. So x equals pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, and that's all there is to that. And we know that the tangent of x equals a positive 1 when x equals pi over 4, which is in the first quadrant, and then also in the fourth quadrant, which is 2 pi over 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4. Okay? Pi over 4, 3 pi over 4 in this quadrant, 5 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4. So we're over here. That's where the tangent is positive. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Okay, 59. Now the sine of x plus 2 sine x cosine of x equals 0. Okay, so we'll factor out a sine of x here so we can make this a product. So we got the sine of x times, and this is going to be just 1 plus 2 cosine of x. That equals 0 because we took the sine out, and left that. So we got two possibilities here. The sine of x equals 0, or 1 plus the cosine, 2 cosine of x equals 0. And then if I subtract 1 and I divide by 2, this is what we've got. Okay, now I got my graphs over here. Put it somewhere around here. There we go. So for the sine of x equals 0, when is the sine of x equal to 0 on this interval? Two places, 0 and pi. Not that because that's not in the interval. So 0 and pi. So x can either equal 0 or pi. Okay? Now when is the cosine equal to 1/2? Well, the cosine of 1/2 is pi over 3, so that's my positive angle in the first quadrant, but this is not positive, this is negative. Okay? So it's going to be, cosine will be negative in the second and fourth quadrant, so that's going to be 2 pi over 3, puts me in the second quadrant, and not 3 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3 puts me in that third quadrant, so second, third quadrant. That's where it's negative. It's positive in the first and the fourth. Okay? And one more, 59, 61. 61 and we're done. All right. Thanks for a while. So here's 61. Okay. So 61 is tangent squared x cosine of x equals the tangent squared of x. Now don't be tempted to and divide both sides by the tangent squared of x and get the cosine of x equals 1, because if you do that, you're liable to eliminate a root because the tangent squared of x could be 0, and if you can't divide by 0. So you have to bring it over and factor it. That way you won't lose that root. So we do something like that. Okay? Set it equal to 0, then we'll factor. So we can factor the tangent squared of x out. That equals the cosine of x minus 1. Okay, so either the tangent squared of x equals 0 or the cosine of x minus 1 equals 0. This would say that the cosine of x equals 1. And then if the tangent squared of x equals 0, we can take the square root of both sides, and so the tangent of x equals 0. All right? And you can go back over here. When is the tangent equal to 0? Well, that's going to be the other way. So this was 0 over 1, so it's going to be that was a cotangent. So this is going to be sine. So that's not going to work. So it's going to be 0 over 1, 0 over 1. So this is going to be 0 degrees and pi, 0 and pi. Okay. Because the tangent of 0 is 0. All right. So that's sine over cosine, 0 over 1, and 0 over negative 1 is also 0. And that's the one we can't see in a simple graph. We'd have to graph 2 periods because the tangent period is only 1 pi, so you got a couple of those. Okay? And then the cosine equals 1. I can go back and look at my graph, and the cosine equals 1 on this interval, just at 0. Goes back to 0 later, but it doesn't matter because this is a restricted interval, just 0 to 2 pi. So don't worry about that. See, the tangent is equal to, the cosine. So when is the cosine equal to 1 on this interval? Just here, at 0. That's negative 1, and that's not in the interval, so just x equals 0. We're at 0 over here, so this is our solution set, just right there. Okay? So hope that makes sense. Wasn't too bad.